103 FM. This is the World News at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. Thank you for staying with us. Terrorists warn Kebbi farmers against modern equipment. Now, hunger persists despite 668 billion naira agri surplus. Dangote blames crude shortage as imports from US surge. Also, presidency reveals when Tinubu will choose running mate. Police reveal identity of man who ran at Tinubu in Kaduna while he was giving a speech. Also, in a very recent development, Atiku El-Rufai right INEC for registration of new party, All Democratic Alliance. Meanwhile, as 2027 gears up, Nigerians call out President Tinubu on resuscitating Nigerians' economy. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. World News begins with farmers in Ogi local government area of Kebbi State reportedly receiving threats from terrorists believed to be members of the Lakurawa group, warning them against replacing traditional cattle-driven farming methods with mechanized equipment. According to reports by security analyst Zagazola Makama, the terrorists warned that anyone found using mechanized tools in place of cattle for farming would be executed. The warning has triggered fear and panic amongst residents of affected communities, many of whom had begun shifting to modern farming techniques in response to ongoing cattle rustling in the region. An intelligence source also reportedly confirmed that the threats were genuine and circulated among several villages in Ogi local government area. Community members are now calling for urgent intervention from the Nigerian military and the government. The area has suffered repeated attacks and widespread cattle rustling, allegedly by the same group. Now in April, at least 13 vigilantes were killed in Morai village. Also in Ogi local government area, after suspected Lakurawa gunmen ambushed them during a failed attempt to recover stolen livestock. When contacted, the police public relations officer in Kebbi State, Nafiu Abubakar, said he would investigate the development. Meanwhile, agricultural stakeholders reckon that the threat of hunger persists in Nigeria despite recording a 668.34 billion naira agricultural surplus and have called for improved food processing and support for local farmers. The value of agricultural exports surpassed imports by 668.34 billion naira in the first quarter of 2025, and this is according to the foreign trade data for the first quarter of 2025 from the National Bureau of Statistics. The agricultural surplus reflects growing agribusiness trade following the federal government's 150-day duty-free import window boost. Nigeria has sustained a high level of food importation. Agricultural imports dropped by 5.02% to 1.04 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2025 from 1.09 trillion naira in the fourth quarter of 2024. But the year-on-year review shows a wider margin. Imports grew by 12.52% from 920.54 billion naira recorded in the first quarter of 2024. Stakeholders, including the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Agricultural and Allied Group, and the All Farmers Association of Nigeria, have cautiously lauded the country's performance in agricultural exports, which grew by 10.63% to 1.7 trillion naira from 1.54 trillion naira in the preceding quarter. Chairman of the LCCI and Agriculture and Allied Group, Tunde Banjoko, maintained that only improved food processing capacity can secure Nigeria on its path to food security. He restated that Nigeria has not allayed fears of increased food prices in the lean season. Banjoko explained that agribusinesses search for foreign exchange and increasing demand for raw materials such as corn flour by pharmaceutical manufacturers drove the 668.34 billion naira agricultural surplus. Now, the president of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has disclosed that his 650,000 barrel capacity refinery is increasingly relying on the United States for crude oil. This came as findings show that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery is projected to import a total of 17.65 million barrels of crude oil between April and July 2025, beginning with about 3.65 million barrels already delivered in the past 2 months, amid ongoing allocations under the federal government's Naira for crude policy. Dangote informed the technical committee of the one-stop shop for the sale of crude and refined products in Naira initiative that the refinery was still battling crude shortages, which had led it to resort to imports from the United States. In a statement from the firm on Thursday, Dangote stated this when the coordinator of the OSS technical committee, Mrs. Maureen Ubunna, led a delegation to the refinery, which she described as a breath of fresh air, impacting virtually every sector of the economy. According to the statement, Dangote applauded the technical committee for its role in supporting the implementation of President Bola Tinubu's laudable Naira for Crude initiative. He also commended the positive impact of the Naira for Crude swap deal on the Nigerian economy, noting that it has led to a reduction in petroleum product prices, eased pressure on the dollar, and ensured the stability of the local currency, amongst others. Now, Dangote recalled that the refinery has been importing more cargoes of WTI in its bid to ramp up production. He also stressed the importance of bold investment in strategic sectors as a key to industrialization, revealing that building the refinery required extensive infrastructure development, including a world-class self-sufficient marine facility capable of accommodating the largest vessels globally. Now, amid mounting speculation and public debate over Vice President Kashim Shettima's political future, the presidency on Thursday clarified that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not yet decided on a running mate for the 2027 presidential elections. This was made known by the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, during an interview recently. Responding to questions about the vice president's notable absence from recent endorsement campaigns for Tinubu's second-term bid, Onanuga stated that the choice of a running mate is premature at this stage. He stressed that the current silence from the presidency should not be misconstrued as a snub or confirmation of exclusion. According to him, he says, "When I read the report, I dismissed it as a non-issue. In a presidential system, the candidate emerges first and then selects a running mate." End quote. Once INEC releases a timetable, the party convention will hold, and if the president is nominated again, then he will choose a running mate. He also disclosed a concerning speculation that when the president was a governor, there were indeed issues in his first term. He and his deputy Kofo didn't get along, and she had to leave. Femi Pedro also replaced her. While in the second term, he retained Pedro, but Pedro later defected. He wanted to be governor. That's why he had to go. He also disclosed that old wounds should not be reopened, but that was exactly what happened in the case of Lagos. However, he revealed that that is not an impromptu, that repeat will occur during the presidential administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu choosing a running mate ahead of 2027. Meanwhile, while the president went to Kaduna for the commissioning of some projects, the Kaduna State Police Command also identified the individual who attempted to breach protocol and approach President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during his official visit to the state as Umar Mohammed, a resident of Anguwan Muwazu, Kaduna. According to a statement by the Kaduna State Police Public Relations Officer Mansur Hassan Mohammed, that he is known to suffer from a psychiatric disorder which he has lived with since birth. The police clarified that the incident, which briefly disrupted the event, was a result of Mohammed's excitement to see the president up close. Also in that regard, he disclosed via the viral video of the incident, which showed security operatives swiftly intervening as the man moved toward President Tinubu, who calmly responded, "Leave him alone," before continuing with his speech. The incident occurred during the unveiling of a 300-bed specialist hospital in Millennium City, Kaduna, named after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Meanwhile, political activists and the people of the Rivers State government has expressed disappointment over the refusal or failure of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to see June 12, 2025 as a day to celebrate its 26th year of interrupted democracy as an opportunity to restore democratic governance in Rivers State. There were expectations, and which were fueled by speculations, that the president would end the undemocratic government in Rivers State and recall the governor Simfubara to mark his activities for the Democracy Day celebration. However, those expectations aspirations were met with disappointment, as the president neither mentioned nor said anything concerning the state when he addressed a joint session of the National Assembly. According to the president, he lamented that the crisis persisted, insisting that there was no way democratic governance, which according to him, Nigerians have fought and worked for over the years, can thrive in a way that will benefit the people of the state in such circumstances. Well, as it stands, the report suggesting that the governor of the state being suspended, that Wike is being used by the presidency to truncate democracy in Rivers State. However, there are calls that there should be reliability for the president to reinstate the governor of the state suspended, Sim Fubara of Rivers. Now, in a very recent development as well, on the political scene, political parties and restructuring have commenced. After weeks of internal deliberations, a national coalition group has formally applied to the Independent National Electoral Commission to register a new political party named All Democratic Alliance. The application letter, dated June 19, 2025, and officially received by INEC on June 20, was signed by Chief Akin A. Ricketts, pro-tem national chairman of the association. A copy of the letter was actually obtained by correspondence. As it stands at the moment, the NNCG coalition comprises several high-profile figures, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, ex-Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi, his Kaduna State counterpart Nasir El-Rufai, Dr. Umar Ado, convener of the League of Northern Democrats, and other notable public office holders and party strategists. Initially, the coalition explored merging with existing parties, chiefly the African Democratic Congress and the Social Democratic Party, but withdrew due to concerns about internal wrangling and ongoing litigations within close ranks. The special committee chaired by Rotimi Amechi was convened to assess whether to join an established party or launch a fresh platform. Roughly a week ago, the committee recommended creating a new party to ensure all members begin on equal footing in terms of memberships. With ADA's formal application now before INEC, the coalition awaits the Commission's guidelines and guidance on the next steps towards obtaining full party status ahead of the 2027 general elections. Meanwhile, an Abuja-based advocacy group, Center for Reform and Public Advocacy, has dragged the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Attorney General of the Federation Lateef Fagbemi, and the National Assembly before the Federal High Court in Abuja, challenging their powers to appoint officers for the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. The civil rights group in a suit is praying the court to set aside the purported nominations done by the President and the approval by the Senate on the grounds that they lacked constitutional powers to appoint officials for the state electoral body. According to the group in the suit filed on its behalf by an Abuja-based lawyer, Mr. Kalu Agu, only the governor of Rivers State is constitutionally empowered to appoint chairman and members for RCEC. In the originating summons, the plaintiff prayed the court to determine whether by virtue of the combined sections of the 1999 Constitution that the President has powers to seek approval of the Senate to constitute an electoral committee for Rivers State. Upon the determination of the constitutional provisions in the affirmative, the rights group wants the court to expressly declare that it is the exclusive preserve of the governor of Rivers State and not any president to appoint and remove a chairman and 6 members of the state electoral committee. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll take more news and head into our news analysis segment. Do kindly stay with us. Welcome back. This is to the World News right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. In a very recent development, former Lagos State Governor Ambode has opened up on the reasons behind his controversial removal from office after a single term, alleging political sabotage and resistance to his reforms from powerful interests within the ruling party. In a detailed account, Ambode listed several bold policy decisions and refusals that he claimed led to his political downfall. The former governor, who served from 2015 to 2019, disclosed that his administration's insistence on transparency, accountability, and a shift away from entrenched interests made him a target of the political establishment. Ambode said he constructed 22 roads in Alimosho, Lagos, most populous local government area, without awarding any contract to the political allies of former Osun State Governor Ralph Aregbesola. This, he claimed, angered key figures in the All Progressives Congress. He insisted that contracts awarded under former Governor Babatunde Fashola must be completed before any new deals could be granted to the same contractors, many of whom were allegedly linked to party leaders. This stance reportedly sparked friction with influential stakeholders. Ambode said he had plans to modernize Lagos' chaotic transport system by phasing out downfall buses and reducing the dominance of agbaros, that is, street louts. This policy, he claimed, directly threatened a major source of income and political control for entrenched interest. The former governor revealed that he refused to add a 10% padding to the state budget, as allegedly demanded by members of the Lagos State House of Assembly, led at the time by Bayo Oshinowo and current Speaker Mudashiru Obasa. Ambode pointed out that his massive infrastructure development in Ekpe, his hometown, was frowned upon because Ekpe was never part of their master plan. He suggested this further alienated him from the power brokers. He said he refused to support the senatorial ambitions of Ralph Aregbesola and Bayo Oshinowo, arguing that they were not Lagos indigents and should not represent the state at the national level. Finally, Ambode alleged he was pressured to use Lagos state funds to finance electoral campaigns in Osun State, a move he refused for the straining relationships with political heavyweights within the APC. While Ambode did not provide details on official documents to support these claims where he disclosed all of this, his revelations have ignited or reignited public discourse on certain infractions within the All Progressives Congress and the workings of Lagos politics, including the role of godfatherism in Lagos State's governance. Now, the court ruling in a very recent development, irrespective of Donald Trump's renewed immigration crackdown, a U.S. federal court has temporarily blocked the deportation of Matthew Ariwola, a Nigerian PhD student in chemistry at the University of South Carolina. The court ruling follows a controversial decision by the Department of Homeland Security to revoke Ariwola's student visa over a case of mistaken identity. A criminal warrant served in Georgia in 2023, a state the student insists he has never even visited. The visa cancellation, which happened on April 8, 2025, effectively froze Ariwola's academic life. He was barred from his research, kicked out of the classroom, and faced the very real threat of being deported back to Nigeria. On April 18, the same day the case was filed, District Judge Jacqueline Austin issued a 14-day restraining order, halting any deportation attempts and reinstating Ariwola's student privileges. The ruling not only allowed him to return to his academic duties, but also signaled judicial skepticism towards the DHS's actions. Homeland Security soon reversed course, reactivating his visa record in the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System, the database used to track foreign students in the United States. Over the following weeks, Judge Austin would renew the restraining order 3 more times, and on June 13, she issued a preliminary injunction preventing the government from taking any further steps against Ariwola until the legal battle is resolved. time for our news analysis segment, where I currently have on the telephone Barrister Darlington Agumo, who will be giving us some light into some of the topics discussed, or rather read out on the World News at 6. Barrister Darlington, good evening and thank you for joining us today on the World News at 6.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you very much for granting us your attention. Barrister Darlington, still on insecurity, which has been the order of the day, or the resurgence recently across several volatile regions in the country. Terrorists have warned Kebbi farmers against modern equipment. They are telling them to continue to use cattle or they die. That if they try to apply or implement a new technology in their farming activities, which includes mechanized farming, they were definitely going to kill them off. What would you consider this to be?
My dear, this is taken out of hand. Where terrorists will be issuing order, right, left, and center, threatening everybody, and the government is just there. You can imagine, is this the first time they are doing this type of thing? It's not the first time. And because there was no deterrent, that's why they have continued to do it. And then tomorrow, people will come and tell you and I that he has decimated insecurity. He has decimated the terrorists. Why are they this bold? Giving orders, threatening everybody. And you think they are joking? We have not seen the last of these people. I'm not joking. And I don't think they are going away very soon. I don't think so.
This is a Lakurawa group. This is the Lakurawa group. They're telling them to continue their traditional cattle-driven farming methods, which obviously is what they have continued with. But the residents are saying that when they continue with the cattle farming method, they take their cattle and sometimes they destabilize their farming activities. Now that they want to use mechanized farming, they're also threatening them. So if the Chief of Defense Staff is telling us that they have a new strategy of tackling these individuals, what do you want these farmers to do? Because their mode of income is actually farming, and it's also their sustenance as well. I can hear you, Barrister Darlington. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Now, this will tell you that, like I said a while ago, this thing is not going away very soon. Why are this group of terrorists becoming bolder and bolder by the day? Are we not supposed to sit down and ask ourselves, what is going on? Who is giving these people the impetus? To be talking stuff like this in a sovereign state. I told you here that more terrorist organizations are coming in. I told you. And don't doubt me, because the ones on ground are having a field day. So their kids and kin outside there, they are looking at what is going on. And they are pressing up, they are warming up to join them. So we are going to live with a lot of terrorist organizations in Nigeria. There's no doubt about it, because the federal government of Nigeria, led by Tinubu, are too weak to confront these people. I have never heard Tinubu mention the name of the call them out. He has never called them out, even though they have been identified. Tinubu will never call their name out. That means they are afraid of them. They are afraid of them.
But that's not what the Chief of Defense Staff said. The Chief of Defense Staff said that the locals are actually providing information to these terrorists. In fact, during a particular interview, he said they provide food items, provide them women, actually give them locations, all the adequate information these locals provide for these terrorists. They give them food, whatever need that they have or whatever need that they require, the locals provide it for them.
Don't believe what he's saying. He's trying to shift blame for his incompetence. Look at what he's saying. So you are aware of this thing, then what are you doing? Are you not supposed to alert both the local and the terrorists? Look at what he's saying. So this thing he's saying now is the cause of insecurity in Nigeria. Is that what he's telling me? No, you see, don't believe this, Elsa. Don't believe anybody that is working for this government. Because they have perfected the art of lying. So the locals are providing the intel, Abi. Then you, who's supposed to checkmate, what are you doing? You just came to tell us stories, Abi. Are you serious? So the locals allow them to be killing them, Abi. No, the locals are invited terrorists to come and be killing them. Is that what the Chief of Army want me to believe? Abi, Chief of Defense Staff. Whenever they have fail, they will look for one excuse or the other. Don't mind this thing about the locals, so don't mind him. Don't mind him. He's trying to shift blame. I don't believe what he says because he has not taken action. He has not. Let him provide evidence that these locals are the one behind the terrorists. Let him provide evidence.
All right, Barrister Darlington. After weeks of internal deliberations, the Nigerian National Coalition Group, they have formally applied to the Independent National Electoral Commission to register a new political party named All Democratic Alliance. So initially, they wanted to do merging of existing political parties. You know, El-Rufai joined the SDP. There were talks that Atiku Abubakar had left PDP to join the ADC. But as it stands now, they said each of these parties were having internal wranglings. Adebayo of the SDP said he was not going to allow external actors come in and take over the party structure, especially those who were already part of the party before these individuals stepped in. And he intends to run in 2027. Obviously, this does not go well with El-Rufai and those who followed him into the SDP. So Atiku Abubakar, obviously we know that the PDP will definitely not zone the ticket to him for 2027. So he needs to join another political party. And as it stands at this particular moment, El-Rufai, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, as well as Rotimi Amechi, based on the coalition for a new Democratic Party. Now, I want you to recall that it doesn't mean that Peter Obi has left the Labour Party, but the structure of this coalition is to also stall in taking their time to decide if they've not been able to decide the fate of Labour Party and who the chairman is within the party. If it's taking them this long, how do we know that this new political party that they've written to register will not take so long as well? And then if that is the case, when do they intend to start up their grassroots mobilization or creating structure in the various zones where they want to populate and make known this political party?
My fear is that this APC may sponsor some smaller parties to counter the coalition. That is what they are going to do next. Since the big wigs have left the old parties and now want to form a coalition, APC led by Atiku are going to sponsor new political parties but I know very well that if they register this coalition, INEC is going to register more parties. But with the problem of APC to counter them and whittle down their votes, that's what they are going to do after they have the money to do that. But there's nothing wrong in registering parties as long as they met the conditions. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. The bigger the merrier.
All right, Barrister Darlington.
They should go to court. If INEC continue to delay, let them go to court.
All right, Barrister Darlington, while the coalition talk is ongoing and all the political bigwigs are behind the scenes strategizing ahead, governance needs to be performed. Governance in all sectors, and it doesn't just include the president. It includes all the institutions that are responsible for initiating democratic values, all right, especially at the grassroots. Now, if we're talking about insecurity in this domain, when the president was visiting Kaduna, we heard some reports, especially in Hausa, that the crowds were rented. They said they were given 500 naira. This particular video circulated on social media, and those who were queuing at on the roadside on the street were saying that they were given 500 naira. Some persons 1,000, some persons 250 naira to come and possibly show their support in welcoming the president. That's not the only thing that a couple of people feel that is defaming the administration of the president, specifically speaking on if indeed he would be voted for the next general elections. Concerning insecurity, the Chief of Defense Staff literally told us today that the Sahelian region is really stressed and that it was very important for the borders to be resuscitated, meaning that we need to pay or whatever it is to structure in fences. Now, the Sahelian regions are seriously going through it. Mercenaries, I think today or yesterday, killed 34 Nigerian soldiers and injured 14 of them. They tried with all their armaments to fight off these guys. The mercenaries were 200, more than 200 in their numbers, with several motorcycles. They came around the area and it was a proper decimation. And they said, the Chief of Defense Staff said that if they are done with the Sahelian region, the next country they want to target is Nigeria. Nigeria is lush, very fertile and rich. And he's been warning severely that the fence needs to be raised up. What is delaying this? This is not the first time we've heard about this. So what is delaying this?
Esther, you see, I don't like it when people give excuses.
You think it's an excuse? You don't believe that our borders are porous?
I said it is an excuse. Let me tell you, if the president of Nigeria should give a stern warning to all the countries bordering Nigeria that no terrorists should call their country and enter Nigeria, I am telling you, they will be jittery. They will not allow it. They are going to police their border.
And you think that will work?
So
can you remember, Barrister Darlington, can you remember astutely when the federal government of Nigeria wanted to ensure that Niger does not cut themselves out of ECOWAS? Can you remember when Nigeria instituted a blockade on them? The northern region along that axis, they refused. They said because Niger is almost like their neighboring communities and villages. They have intermarried and they protested it.
This one is about terrorism.
Exactly.
I think everyone. Yes, this one is about terrorism, insecurity in Nigeria. Let the president make the move with us, and let's see how the North will react negatively against it. Let him make the move. If they now say, no, we should not stop terrorists from coming into Nigeria, then we will not know where our enemies are coming from. Already we know. It's just that it will add to what we already know. Let the president make the first move by making sure that our neighbors does not allow terrorists to cross from their country into our own. After all these borders, we have neighbors along these borders, and these people are coming from there. Why should it be so? I mean, we are going to accuse them of sponsoring a terrorist in Nigeria. We can even take it to the United Nations, which is evidence that these people are the ones bringing terrorism in Nigeria. Let us see that Nigeria will oppose it. I will not know exactly those who are behind these things. But since we could not do it, what are you expecting? If there is full movement of goods and services among the ECOWAS nations, does it include terrorists? No, does it include terrorists for God's sake? So I don't see it. The government is very weak. This particular administration is very, very weak. They cannot even confront the ones on ground here. Is it the one that outside that they can confront? No. Imagine the president asking the IGP and the chief of army staff, is there no arrest yet? Have you not arrested anybody? And they just wave it off with laughter. You can imagine. So the president is very, very weak. There are some people he's afraid of in Nigeria. I discovered this when they threatened his wife and he could not talk.
Hello, Barrister, are you there? Barrister Darlington. All right, we've lost connection with Barrister Darlington. It's actually raining, so it's not surprising that we're having a network deficiency. However, we've actually run out of time. We'll continue more of that conversation during the evening rush very, very soon. So, in stories outside the shores of Nigeria, the UK Foreign Office has disclosed it is taking the precautionary measure of withdrawing staff from its embassy in Iran. It comes as the exchange of fire between Israel and Iran has continued, with Israel hit by a new round of Iranian strikes this afternoon. Earlier, the Israeli military said it attacked dozens of targets, including what it called missile manufacturing sites in Tehran. Meanwhile, UK, French, and German foreign ministers are holding talks with their Iranian counterpart in Geneva today as part of efforts to ease the Israel-Iran conflict. It comes after the White House says Donald Trump will decide in the next fortnight whether to take direct U.S. action. In that particular order, in brief comments concerning to the media after talks were finished, the Vice President of the European Commission has disclosed that regional escalation benefits no one, and that is why discussions need to be opened. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy says that they were very clear and that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. He adds that him and his fellow European foreign ministers are keen to continue ongoing discussions on negotiations with Iran. And that's a wrap on the world news at 6 right here in Voice of the People, 90.